kitchen. Today we're making fried rice. It's one of my favorite things to make. My family loves it, and Chinese food is something that I've always just loved. As a kid, I remember growing up, going with my family to different Chinese restaurants, and we have a thriving Chinese community here where I am in Vancouver, British Columbia, and there's many options. And so I started to include that into my cooking repertoire, and I think a lot of the dishes could be easy enough, and a lot of the ingredients are easy enough to find in local stores to be able to recreate at least some sense of those kind of dishes. And Chinese fried rice is a wonderful addition to any side, whether it's chicken, beef, or just on its own. And the fried rice, everybody kind of has, I think, a little bit of their own nuances of how they make it. If you want authentic, you've got to go to a Chinese restaurant or go to China, I guess. But when you make it at home, you can always add a little bit of your own nuances, a little bit different vegetables perhaps, or change up the ingredient from one kind of mushroom to another. So this is my Chinese fried rice. It's by no means the authentic fried rice, but it's my authentic fried rice. So let me show you how I make it. The mushrooms that I'm using is white bite mushrooms, and you can see that the mushrooms are dirty. Mushrooms are like a sponge. If you start washing them with too much water, they're going to absorb water like a sponge, and then when you cook them, you're actually going to be stewing them because all the water will be drawn out instead of frying them or sauteing them. Now, did you know that you can actually peel mushrooms? If you were in a restaurant setting, if you're working in a restaurant like I used to, when we have lots of mushrooms, you wouldn't stand and peel them the way I'm going to do it at home. You would wash them in very shallow water, and then you would let them dry thoroughly before you use them. But at home, when you use just a small bowl of mushrooms, maybe 10 or 12 mushrooms, this is actually a really good technique. Peeling mushrooms is very easy. There's a little lip at the very bottom of them, and you can just simply peel away this little skirting or this top layer, and then in a colander you can just quickly run some water over the mushrooms to wash away any existing dirt. It's very easy to do. Not a lot of people know that you can peel mushrooms, but it's actually a very good technique where you can just quickly rinse them without giving them a thorough wash, because they do come often quite dirty right from the ground. So you can do this, of course, ahead of time and get the mushrooms ready. You can let your kids get your kids involved in this if you have younger kids and they want to help in the kitchen. This is actually a good way to get them to help. I'm going to give them a quick wash in a colander, and we'll get to the rest of it. Okay, now that we've rinsed our mushrooms, let me show you some of the other ingredients we'll be using. To save time, it's always nice to have a combination of convenience foods combined with some of the foods that you prepare. It really is a time saver in the kitchen. So here I have bought some frozen peas and carrots and some frozen corn. Sure beats having to cut the corn off the cob or chopping up the carrots or taking the peas out of the pods, right? And then I like to add this mushroom. It's called umami. It's just a little bit of sea salt and some other spices together with some powdered mushrooms. It really adds a nice unique flavor to the final dish that we'll be adding into our pan with our vegetables that we'll be sauteing. All right, so we're going to start with slicing up some of the mushrooms. Just a kind of a rough slice. You don't have to, doesn't have to be even by any means. You're going to be sauteing that in your wok together with your peppers, onions, and celery. And then we'll be finishing off the dish with a little bit of sesame oil and some green onions. This is actually also a great way to use up your mushrooms if they're starting to kind of degrade a little bit in your fridge, if they're starting to look like they're not great for a fresh salad. They'll be great for any sauté dish. And something like a fried rice is the perfect dish for that. Okay. So now we're gonna dice up our onion. So we're going to use, I use about 3 cups of rice for my fried rice. So you're going to use 1 small yellow onion, diced, and 1 red pepper that you've diced. And remember, some of these things you can do ahead of time. You can do some of your dicing and slicing ahead of time. You can put that in the fridge, and then close to dinner time, you can make your rice, and then you just simply saute your vegetables, a little bit of soy sauce, a few spices, and put the rice together, combined with the rice together with all the vegetables. Okay, let me show you this technique for cutting up bell peppers. I don't know if you know this technique, but it's a great way to get rid of the seeds really easy and to cut the ribs of the bell pepper. So after you've cut your ends, which we're going to slice up afterwards, so we have 0 waste, you simply cut through like this. Make sure your knife is nice and sharp, and you just roll it out like that. And you're cutting the seeds and the ribs just like that. Put that away. And then we're going to slice the pepper, and then we're going to dice the pepper. And we can put that together with our onions. Basically all the vegetables are going to go in together into our wok. Just like so. Nice and easy. Okay. And in my fried rice, I'm also adding celery. It's not a traditional vegetable that goes into our fried rice, but it's traditional in my fried rice. Like I said, this is my unique fried rice. It's not the authentic fried rice, but it's my unique fried rice. All right. Don't worry if your dicing isn't perfect or your slicing isn't perfect. It's going to add nice color and nice flavors to your final dish. Okay. So we got our onions and bell peppers. Celery is easy to dice. Simply, I like to cut it into thirds. So you got a small dice like this. Okay, we're going to add that to our peppers and our onions, just like so. Okay, and then the final step is to slice up our already washed green onions. Make sure you wash them really well. Dirt can get inside the green onions, so you want to cut the ends and just give them a nice thorough wash. And again, cut them as small as you can. They're going to add a nice flavor and nice eye appeal at the very end of the dish. Usually just the green ends are used, but because vegetables are expensive, and if you can use the whole thing as you need it for the dish, you know, some people will leave the whites and use it in a salad later. If that fits your timing, you can do that as well. Just use the green part of the green onions and leave the whites for a salad for another time. I just like to use the whole vegetable as I'm using it already. Often you can put something away, forget about it, and it starts to wilt, and then you never actually use it for what you need. So go ahead and use the whites. You can use that ahead of time. You can take the whites and put that together with your yellow onions and saute that. You can add that later on top of the fried rice together with the green part. Totally up to you. This is a dish that has a few traditional components you have to put together to really call it a fried rice, but there's also some options and a little bit of wiggle room in how you put it together too. So now you want to have your vegetables ready to saute, and you want to have your jasmine rice, which I have pre-cooked, and put that together. Let me show you in the wok how we go about putting the whole dish together and then get to the final dish. You're going to be amazed how simple it is and how delicious it can be. Okay, I hope you saw how easy that was to be able to prepare. Hope you heard the sizzling of it. Remember, it's called fried rice. You want to make sure that your wok or your pot is sizzling hot before you put in all the ingredients, including the rice. So now we're going to finish the rice off here. I'll show you beautiful plating. You can put whatever portion that you would like. Again, it's totally up to you. All right, I love fried rice, so my portions are usually a little bit larger. And then I've got my green onions here that I chopped up earlier. Just gonna sprinkle that on top. Grab my trusty fork. And there you go. Marats fried rice. Delicious. You can add a little bit more sesame oil if you like. I really like the prominent taste of sesame in my fried rice. You can add a little more, a little less. Those are totally great options. Delicious. Thank you for joining me in Marats Kitchen. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Join me every single Sunday for a new episode. Turn on your alerts so you're always alerted when a new episode is being uploaded. Please subscribe, share, and tell all your friends. Until next time, bon appetit, cook with heart, and come join me in Marats Kitchen to learn new recipes that will quickly become your family's favorites.